What's up, gamers? Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? Dude, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. Wow.
Dude,
Crazy.
we're back with special announcements.
Special announcements.
Yeah, you remember?
Oh, yeah.
You don't remember.
No.
Okay. We did it. Two Nerds Podcast. We did it. It's officially monetized.
Oh, yeah, we're officially monetized. Now we can make 15 cents a month.
That's right, dude. Wow, it'll grow. So this means, guys, that, you know, well, you're probably sitting there thinking, like, all right, great, Two Nerds Podcast is now monetized. Maybe Nixxiom and Krendor will now shut up about Krensloth.com and the Nixxiom Corner Store. But that's where you're wrong.
Yeah, that's very wrong.
That's very wrong. All right. So yeah, but that's the good news. So I'm excited. I'm excited for my 15 to 30 cents a month that'll come from this YouTube channel. Gonna buy a cigar with that shit to celebrate eventually, and it's gonna be good. Yeah.
And I'm happy because my Warhammer channel got monetized.
Yes, and my Nixxiom IRL channel, which I never post to, hit over 1,000 subs, and I think it's eligible for monetization as of yesterday.
Man. So much monetization.
I know, right? So many pennies.
So many pennies.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
it's
dude.
a fun thing to say too.
Well, it's we talked about this yesterday. Actually, we were chatting it up. You know, it all starts somewhere.
Yeah.
Like my first YouTube check, I don't even remember how much it was. I think it was like 26 or 27 cents or something. It was under $1. It was nothing. And I was like, yeah, and I was so proud of that. And then eventually it was like, whoa, and then I was paying my bills with it. And I was like, whoa, and now I live in this house. You know, it all starts somewhere.
Mine was like $80-something. And I was like, dude, I made what I made at Dick's Sporting Goods, but not working at Dick's Sporting Goods. This is great.
You worked at Dick's?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Maybe I
worked
did
there
know that.
for 1 week.
What?
That's probably why. Yeah, I worked there for a week.
Oh. Dude, my friend Tate a long time ago, that Tate, I went through hell and high water to get him a job at Target where I worked at. And I was like, man, I had to convince the managers, blah, 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 because we weren't even hiring at the time. And I got him a job working in the back, doing inventory. He worked there for 4 days, and he was doing great. And then one day he just stopped showing up to work. And all my managers kept coming up to me, my two managers anyway, and they were like, hey, where's your friend Tate at? Where's your friend Tate at? And I'm like, I don't know. And I would try to call him, and he would never answer his phone. And about a week later, well, actually, no, it wasn't even a week. It was probably like 5-ish days after he disappeared. I get a phone call. I'm like, oh my God, it's Tate. I pick up the phone, and I'm like, hey, where are you? And he's like, hey, dude, I'm halfway to Colorado, man. I just hitched a ride out here. And I'm like, what? What about your job at Target? And he was like, I got bored of that. I just decided to go back to hitchhiking. And I was like, wow. So I was like, wow, now I'm in a lot of trouble, and now my word is worth nothing at this job because I got you this job. And he's like, yeah, sorry about that. Well, just wanted to check in, see how you're doing. I guess I'll see ya. Yep.
Man.
Yep.
That is. Well, I mean, at least he went back to doing what he loved.
That's true. In some ways, I envy him to this day. I'm like, man, I wish I could just fuck off, just not care. It's I'm just gonna go hitchhike. I'm just gonna go eat out of a dumpster and I don't know, pee on the side of the road with everybody watching and just wave. I don't know. What's up?
The dream.
The dream, literally. I care too much, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's making bowls right now.
Wait, he's making bowls?
Yeah, I always he has an Instagram account, and I follow him on there, and he just posts pictures of these clay bowls that he keeps making, and he's like, day 2, 3rd clay bowl completed. And it's every couple of days he just posts a picture of a clay bowl, and he's and sometimes he mixes it up. He posts a clay vase. I'm like, ooh. And that's it. That's all I know. He's hitchhiking and making clay bowls out in the woods.
I figured if he's making those, he'd be in I don't know, New Mexico or something.
Dude, I don't know. I think he's in Colorado still. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
At least
I guess that
he's being artistic and creative, kind of like something else that we want to talk about.
Wow, kind of like something I used to be.
Yeah. You're still artistic and creative, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
No, it's honestly getting back into Warhammer is
Yeah.
what helped me find that creativity again, and that's what we're talking about today.
Warhammer. Yeah. What about Warhammer? Just Warhammer in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's Warhammer in general, or like, I'd say like maybe miniature painting, because you've started doing a lot of miniature painting.
I did.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we can say maybe how we even found out about Warhammer,
All right.
and then get into like what it got us to get back into it now.
All right. You want to go first since I told my Tate story?
Yeah.
All right.
So I got into Warhammer back in 7th grade-ish. Pretty sure it was 7th grade, maybe like the summer of 7th grade, going into 8th grade. And I remember because my friend got a box, and it was the box of like humans and orcs. Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look up Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition,
I will right now.
it's yes. You'll see there's a box. It's like the top result, and it's got like a human guy on a horse, and he's like fighting orcs and shit. And then it shows the back of the box, and it like shows all the little orcs and the book and all that.
I see it.
Yeah.
I do.
So
Neat.
my friend, he got that, and I was like, dude, this is so cool. Like, this was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen at the time. I was like, this is like, you just make these little dudes and you like fight, and they're like orcs and shit.
Mhm.
Like, I hadn't even played like WoW wasn't a thing then, right? Maybe Warcraft was, but I didn't even think I'd play Warcraft at that point. Maybe I'd seen Lord of the Rings or something, so I kind of like knew about orcs. And so he was like a big, like, oh, I'll play the Empire, the humans, whatever. He was always like that type of person. I was always a person who's like, Darth Vader looks awesome. So I wanted to play like the orcs and stuff. But then his other friend was like, I'm playing the orcs. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? And he was like, well, I mean, there's other armies. You can find one. So I was looking through the book, and I saw the lizard men.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's me. I'm a lizard man. So I went to the Games Workshop with my mom, and then they're like, yeah, this is the lizard man, these are the people. And I was like, this is awesome, cool, I want that. So I got like a thing of like source warriors or some shit, and I got home and I was like, I don't know how to build these.
Yeah.
And they were metal, like pewter metal, I think. And I was just like, oh, I don't know how to do it. And so over time, I think I just like, slapped them together with like some crazy glue and like some other stuff. I did not build them correctly. Instead of painting, I colored them in with markers, so I had no idea what I was doing. But I still have 2 of them right now, and I think I posted one on Twitter or something, or on my Warhammer channel. I've definitely showed them off my Warhammer Krendor channel. And I was like, all right, this is fun. I was making like all these environments. Like I would get like construction paper, normal paper, and like paper cups and stuff. And I'd be like, dude, I'm gonna make a jungle for my lizard men. And I would just like do that in the basement. And it was not a jungle, but in my mind, I was creating this crazy jungle.
Mm-hmm.
And so after all that, me and my friends, we like kind of played, but we didn't really play. And I remember reading the instruction manual thing in the car, like on the a trip to somewhere for vacation. That thing was huge.
I was about to say, those things are huge.
Yeah, so it's like a 3-hour car ride, and I was just reading it the whole way, like, whoa, this is cool. Whoa, this is cool. And I had like no idea what any of it meant.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, roll 5s, and you get to do a thing.
Whoa.
Awesome. And then
I know that feel.
So after doing all that, it kind of just, one of those things where then your friends move on to something else. And I like still thought it was cool, but I was like, well, I guess I'll move on to something else too. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of did. And then years went by, and I would always kind of look back on it and be like, oh, that was really fun. And then I got into Blood Bowl, and then obviously I picked up Lizard Men in Blood Bowl back in like 2012 12 or whenever we did that Blood Bowl tournament, and I was like, dude, Lizardmen, because I used to play Lizardmen, and then did that with Blood Bowl. And then last year when Classic WoW came back, I remember I was playing the beta on Classic WoW, and I was like, it's kind of like a nostalgic year going back and doing all this stuff from being a kid. And then it reminded me of Warhammer, and someone was like, why don't you buy the book on eBay or something? And I was like, dude, I am going to buy that book on eBay. So I did. I bought it for like $4, and I got it. And it was still a big-ass book. I still got it.
Nice.
And then I bought the Lizardmen book, and I was looking through, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I was like, why don't I just go buy some miniatures and just like actually build them and kind of fulfill that void that I had from like wanting to build them back then. So I did, and I went to Games Workshop, and I bought a Start Collecting Lizardmen Seraphon thing, and I built it, and then I couldn't stop, and now I have a lot.
Nice. I didn't realize that you got... I mean, I thought you got into Warhammer and like painting again, like not a long time ago, but maybe like a couple of years ago or so. Not as recent as the Classic WoW launch.
No, it was actually last year. And when I say last year, I mean like literally July, like 12th last year. So it's been like practically 1 year.
Okay, nice. Yeah, because I mean, Krendor is a really good painter. You got really good really fast. I'm working on mine. I'm getting there.
I would say I'm slightly above average, like I am at most things in life.
Yeah, I wish I could like put up some pictures or something on the screen, but that would require editing.
Yeah, that's not happening.
That's not happening. You know how long it's gonna take to throw the pictures in? Like for like you put these like 2 pictures in for like 2 seconds in the video, and then you got to re-render this like 1 hour long giant thing.
Yeah,
it's like
2 pictures.
Just for 2 pictures. Like, no, that's not happening. You guys can go watch Krendor's live painting streams. How about that?
Yeah, or go to youtube.com/Warhammer Krendor.
Or you could do that. That's a good idea too, because we were just talking about that.
Yeah. Nice. And I just put up a video about how to pick your army.
Nice. Oh yeah, I saw it. Did you post that today or yesterday?
Last night.
Okay,
so technically today.
Yeah, I saw the alert for it pop up on my phone.
Yeah, and I'm trying to like start a series where I talk about how to get into it as somebody who got into it like a year ago. So it's kind of more like everything I've learned in the last year type of thing. Okay. So I notice a lot of people that post videos online have been doing it a long time. Mm-hmm. So I think it's nice to get a perspective from somebody who like literally just started.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, like, I watch a lot of Warhammer content lately, especially since I've gotten into the painting and the video games and like a little bit of the lore and stuff. So I've been watching. It feels weird. It's almost like maybe the same way someone would feel if they started playing WoW today. It's like, oh, this is like this cool new thing, but I feel like I'm like 20 years behind.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think you're onto something there. Like having someone that's like totally new and being like, hey, this is like my perspective on this new thing. This is how I got into it. This is how you can get into it. I think that's good. That's a good niche.
Yeah. Plus, like, you gotta come into it in more like a casual way. Because a lot of people get into it, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know like anything about it. And then a lot of people making videos, they're just like really sweaty. You know what I mean? They're just like, hey guys, today I'm gonna paint with my sweat.
Today we're gonna paint some orc boys.
These are I've been painting for 25 years.
Yeah,
and,
I love them.
Use your 4x8 $6,200 super brush that I've acquired.
That's true.
Okay.
You think he's joking? He's not joking. He'll be like, yes, we're gonna use the medium tip 6mm fine bristle like brush or whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna just use this brush that I got at the dollar store.
Yeah. So it's nice to have that. Plus, a lot of people, they make the thing, they'll be like, so if we're trying to pick an army, what you want to do is look at the general rule book for the last year. And you're gonna take this thing. I'm like, dude, nobody fucking knows what the general rule book is.
Yeah.
like you gotta dial this down to like kindergarten levels.
Yeah, you gotta just be like, you gotta play these guys. These are cool. Look at them. They got like tentacles and shit. It's like, oh wow, cool. Like
that's kind of the synopsis of my videos. Like, I'm like, you just gotta pick something that's cool. Don't pick it to be like, oh, it's the best thing right now if I want to play the game and be good. And don't be like, oh, I don't want to do this because it's like too doesn't look like I'm gonna be into it. And like, I don't know. It's just you gotta see something, be like, that looks cool, and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And my big advice is always start with the like small infantry guys, because if you
Oh
start
yeah.
with the big guy, like you paid $80 for this big guy and you fuck it up, you're just like, ah, shit, right? And then you kind of get discouraged. But if you start on like some like small little rat or like skink or something, you're like, ah, it's just one skink, I got like 20 more of them, and you always come back. So it's a good way to learn.
He's a big guy. Say it.
I don't want.
He's a big guy. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No.
Oh my, Krendor.
What?
For you. You know, Bane posting memes. Forget about it. All right, let me just tell my story about going to Warhammer.
Okay.
Oh, Bane from the Dark Knight Rises, like, you're a big guy. For you. Like, never mind. All right, so here's my Warhammer story. Like, Krendor doesn't know his memes.
I'm not a memer. I'm gonna be 31, dude. I'm practically like
You're a boomer.
80. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. All right, I'm practically 80. I'm like 30. Yeah, yeah. Your birthday's in 5 days. It's Krendor's birthday week, technically.
It is. I'm excited.
Yeah. So you know what that means? Krensloth.com.
Krensloth.com. Krensloth.com.
That's right.
Or just give me bits.
You get extra shilling this week,
Or just give me bits.
or bits on Twitch.
I like
There you go.
bits.
There you go. All right. So here's my story with how I got into Warhammer.
right.
Long time ago, long time ago, I was in middle school and I was in 6th grade, and I befriended this kid on my bus, and his name was Alan Schmidt. And that was my family name on my dad's side anyway, back when my family lived in Germany, but they changed it to Smith when they came to the States. Anyway, So Alan Schmidt. And I was friends with him, and we hung out, and eventually it was like, dude, you want to like come over and like sleep over at my house and shit? It's like, yeah. And so I went over to his house a few times, spent the night. He spent the night at my house. He's the one that introduced me to Lord of the Rings, which was really cool. And he introduced me to Warhammer, because one day I went over there and he was telling me about this thing called Warhammer, and it was Warhammer 40K. And he was showing me like some of the models and whatnot on the proto-internet days. Those were the good days. And I was like, oh, cool. So he convinced his mom somehow to buy him some Tyranids. Now, I didn't know what they were at the time. They were just like these weird lizard people, I thought. Like, I didn't know. Like, I thought they were lizard people. And so, like, so I go over to his house one day, and I'm spending the night there, and he has like a little box of just normal regular unit Tyranids, and he's like, oh, like, do you want to help me paint these guys? I'm like, yeah, sure. Now, he wanted to paint pretty much all of them, but he gave me one to paint. I was like, all right. I didn't know how to paint. I had never painted anything like this before, so I remember painting this Tyranid model like this sort of dark green Hulk color, and like the little like crests or whatever on their backs and on their heads, I painted those like this silver color. I still remember that thing to this day. I think he had like a little gun maybe or something in his hand, or maybe it was a spike. I painted that silver too. So I was just dicking around, but I painted my first ever Warhammer model. It looked terrible. I mean, it was actually paint though. It wasn't marker, you know. But it looked terrible. But I was like, yeah, that was pretty cool. And that was it. That was my experience with Warhammer for years and years and years and years. Like, I never did anything else. I would hear people talk about Warhammer here and there in my time online, but I never really cared that much, because I always looked at it like, I mean, I don't know about you, but growing up, it was sort of like Warhammer was the thing that the rich kids did, because the models were so expensive. Like, paying like $60, consider inflation here too, for like 15 little models. It was like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. And so like, even like to this day, well, not to this day, but like up till recently, I thought the same thing. I was like, Warhammer's great, it's cool, but it's way too expensive. I didn't think it was worth it. How wrong I was. Talk about that in a second. But about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 at this point, I'm not sure. I really got into physical fitness. And I started, making it my goal to like lose a bunch of weight. And this is when I lost like the 80 pounds and stuff. And during this time, I really wanted to surround myself with imagery, themes, music, and whatnot that sort of encouraged weight loss, strength, dedication, blah, blah, blah. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, oh, dude, you would love like the Space Marines, like in Warhammer 40K. Like it's all about, these big like hulking dudes. They're unrelenting in their service to their god emperor and like what they believe in, like blah, blah, blah. Like they're all about fighting heresy and whatnot across the stars. I love the Black Templars, by the way. I think they're awesome. They're not crazy, just saying. And I was like, okay. So I started like looking into Warhammer 40K stuff, like, with the Astartes and whatnot. And I thought it was so cool. I was like, wow, like, man, Warhammer has gotten like so cool since like the last time I knew anything about it. But it was back when I was in like 6th grade. I saw all the artwork and like all the lore. Like I watched the videos of like how a Space Marine is created and like the sheer like torturous like ruin that they become in order to become a Space Marine. Even that whole idea of, if I remember correctly, I'm not like a super lore nerd, that whole idea that like how like what is it, like if a Space Marine dies, they could actually have like their like mind, or like what's left of their mind, like put into like a machine, like a tank, or like what's left of their body, and it's just like they're in like constant never-ending pain, but it's like their way of giving like what remains of their bodies or their minds or whatever, like to like the Imperium and shit. Like it was crazy. Like it was so grimdark. I loved it. Even Warhammer Fantasy is very grimdark, and I love that. Talk about fantasy in a second. So I loved it. It was very inspirational for me. Kept me going. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to work out today. I'm like, what would the God Emperor think? And I'm like, yeah, what would he think? And I would go work out in the gym. It was motivating. I never got any models, though. Not for a while, but when I started kind of reaching the end of like my weight loss goals, I actually got myself some Space Marines. I made a YouTube video of me painting them for the first time. I painted like 2 or 3, and then I was like, all right, that's dumb. I don't care anymore. I liked the lore, didn't really care too much about the painting. But then, skip ahead like 2 years or so, and then it happened. It happened. I was streaming on Twitch, and some people suggested to me, I believe it was Fashro. I believe that was his name, right? Yeah, Fashro. He's on my whiteboard back there. He said to me, he was like, hey, you should try Warhammer 2 Total War. I've played Total War games before. They're okay, but they're not really my favorite kind of games to play. I prefer like Age of Empires, like Age of Empires 2, like over Total War games. That's just me. So I was like, I'm not really interested. And the guy was like, all right, well, like if I bought you the game, would you play it on stream? Like, would you try it? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. So the guy bought me the game, and I played it on stream. I absolutely loved it. Thought it was fantastic. I loved the magic. I loved the chaos of it. Keep in mind, for those that don't know, Warhammer 2 Total War is set in Warhammer Fantasy, so it's not 40K. Although I would love a Total War of Warhammer 40K. Holy crap. Like, it would be insane. But I loved the magic. It was like everything that I didn't like about the Total War games in the past, like Warhammer Total War, like it was amazing. The dragons and oh, it was awesome. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I played as the Skaven because I didn't know who else to play as. I was like, I'll just play as these like rat people, I guess, because they're kind of cool. They're like evil and necromancers, I think. I don't know. And to sort of celebrate, I decided that, well, since I'm playing this game that I'm enjoying, Total War on stream, I'll go buy some Skaven models from Games Workshop, and I'll paint some Skaven on stream one day, kind of like this guy Krendor does.
Yeah.
And I did. And I was like, okay. And so I sat down and I did a painting stream where I was like, here I am painting my first Skaven. And I painted him, and it was a lot of fun. And then I just sort of just became like a daily thing for me. For like, I would sit down and I would just sit for like 30 minutes or an hour and just paint. Just work on the models. And it was very relaxing. Very like meditative. I would just put on some like appropriate music, like some of the Skaven music from like the various games like around them, like Vermintide, and I would just paint. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Or I would listen to like Warhammer lore videos, and I would just paint. And Krendor mentioned a while back, you said that like it really, like painting, you said encouraged or re-blossomed a lot of your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt the exact same thing happening with me. Like, so like every day, I haven't painted today though. I would like to, but I've got some stuff to do this evening, so I can't. Like every day, I'm either reading for like 30 minutes to an hour and painting for like an hour, or I'm just doing, like either or both in the same day, whatever. So like today I read for an hour and I streamed and stuff, took a nap, and now here I am awake recording this. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I've never played the game, like the tabletop game Krendor has.
Yeah.
I haven't. I would like to, I don't know. I would like to maybe finish my little Skaven guys before I come see you at some point. And I don't know if that's even possible to like have like, 15 little Skaven dudes versus like whatever. But I can at least like have the guys and you can kind of maybe show me how to play the game.
Yeah. No, I've done like units versus units. Like it's really just a small scale thing. Like you can't play a full on game, but you can have like a little battle thing.
A skirmish.
Battle sequence. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I would like to learn how to play it. Because like, I don't know. Also, like something that I found in playing Warhammer on stream, like Total War, painting it on stream, whatever. Like the Warhammer community is just really cool. Like it's a bunch of people that are passionate about like art and like painting and like, grimdark war and stuff like that. So it's like a bunch of Chad nerds essentially. Like I love it. Like it's great. Someone's gonna be like, oh no. But I don't know, it's just cool. And then like every time I meet someone, like when I go to Games Workshop and I like meet someone who's also like a Warhammer fan, it's like never who I would expect. It's like this one, like the guy that works at the Games Workshop near here, his name's Ryan, and he's just like this regular average guy. He's just like a normal dude. And he's like, oh yeah, me and my wife, I got 3 kids, like blah, blah, blah. And I just paint, and I play a bunch of games. Like I used to do tournaments and stuff, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh wow, cool. And then like people walk in the store and there's normal looking, like whatever people. I'm just like, wow, like I would never think that you guys were like into this. I would have expected a bunch of fat losers like me, but like, no. Yeah. And that's my story.
Yeah. It's, I've actually met a lot of cool people with Warhammer. It's funny, like, that you say that, because, like, it's true. There's so many people you would never expect to be into Warhammer. Like, I've seen people come in that, like, play a game after work. They're in, like, business suits, and they're just, like, playing a game. I'm like, what?
Yeah, dude.
It's really weird.
Bringing, like, attorneys and stuff, or, like, your local banker just, like, shows up. Like, oh, let me just bust out my Tyranid army real quick. Have a quick game. I'll see ya.
It's funny because like I've even been recognized a few times. Like people walk in. I mean, this one dude, he walked in. He was like 40 something. He like walked in with like his kid, and I was playing a game against somebody who just walked by, and he's like, "Hey, Krendor," and that was it.
Neat.
I never met him before. He must have just saw me, and he just said, "Hey, Krendor," and you got his stuff, and he walked out, and I was like, "Nice." I didn't have to talk.
Nice. Didn't have to talk to that loser. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like, I don't know, like I've had the same thing. Like the vast majority of people are really cool, just like anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been, it's been fun just getting into every aspect of it. Because I think that's the thing is I've had some people be like, dude, Krendor, you can play the game on like Tabletop Simulator, but like I don't want to play on Tabletop Simulator. Here's why. Number one, it's gonna take like 10 hours. Number two, there's just something that's so much better about playing in real life.
Yeah.
Like you're actually interacting with the other person. You're playing with models that you've like painted and built yourself, and you have this special attachment to them. And like, I don't know, it just feels more, not natural, maybe natural. It just, it feels like a better experience overall. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I found that whether I'm watching Warhammer YouTubers, or I'm thinking about myself, or even when I look at you like painting on your Twitch streams or whatever, and I'm just lurking in the chat. Something that I really enjoy about Warhammer. Oh, I just reminded myself of something else I was going to say. But something that I really enjoy is how like kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like personable everything is. It's kind of like for me. I mean, maybe you do the same thing. I don't know. I know the guy Ryan does at the store. Like I name all my units as I paint them, and I think of like a small background story for them. Like while I'm like designing them, I'm like, this guy is Reaper. And he uses like these 2 swords that were given to him or he found here, and then blah, 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 blah. And then I kind of make the character reflect that. It's like, oh, he's got a scar over his right eye, so I put a little scar there. You know, things like that.
I've actually thought of doing that, but I haven't done it yet. But I might actually go back and do that for like a lot of things. Just add like personal touch to each one.
Yeah, that way, like let's say like me and you were playing right now, and you're like, okay, you know, 2 of your units die. I'm like, no, Reaper, you know, like
it's kind of like Blood Bowl. It's the same thing with Blood Bowl. You can just give them their generic names, or you can name them.
Yeah,
and like every time you do it in Blood Bowl, like that's how Little Skittles happen. Just named him Little Skittles. And everyone's like Little Skittles. But if I would have named him like Tatuka, like they give him like crazy Amazon names, like. It wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah. Something else I was going to say, like in my story, I spoke about this on stream the other day, and you could probably confirm this. A lot of people, I mentioned in my story that I kind of had this notion that like Warhammer is great, but it's for like people with a lot of extra money. And the thing that I found with Warhammer very, very quickly is I always had the assumption that like I could buy some models, I could get into this and like drop, you know, a few $100 like on models or however much, but it probably wouldn't be worth it. However, I have quickly found it to be like 3,000% worth it, because let me say something. There are so many like video games out there and movies and all this crap where you're charged like $40, $60, you know, some AAA game comes out tomorrow. You pay $60 for it, plus all the DLC crap, and you get like 8 to 10 hours out of it. Like, you just, like, whatever. Like, my first, like, little Warhammer model, like, I mean, I was new to, like, painting. You know, I did a 3-hour stream where I just painted one model. Like, 3 hours for one guy. And this is a pack of 15. Now it's like, you know, I really take my time with the guys. Like I'll paint it and then I'll let it dry. You know, like if I'm doing like a dark tone or something, I'll let that dry, come back, blah, 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 do the highlights. You know, like a model, you know, if I take my time on each one, which I usually do, they probably take about like 2 hours each to do, hour and a half, something like that. I'm not trying to like speed through it. So in the end, you know, like even if each model took 2 hours each, you know, in a 15 model set, that's 30 hours. Of entertainment. Plus now you can play with them. You can go and like, you know, play against other people like at the store or just like wherever, play against your friends. So like you're getting so much bang for your buck. Yeah. And I'm not even sponsored. Yeah, just put it on your shelf and just look at them. Wow, cool, I did that.
Yeah. I mean, people buy like figurines that are like $60. They don't even like paint it or build it or anything. They just put it up there.
Yeah. My friend Jonathan. Yeah. He's got a whole Star Wars room in his house. Big room downstairs in the basement. You walk in, it's like behind a padlock. And you walk in, it's probably like, I don't know, like $80,000 worth of Star Wars stuff down there or more.
God.
Yeah, it's a huge collection. So, yeah, dude, like, whew, I love that room. It always smells nice. It smells like space.
Yeah, but it's like, it's kind of that same mindset. It's like people be like, oh, it's, you know, it's very pricey, but like people people go out to dinner and spend like $60 on dinner. Yeah. And that's just for like one meal.
Whew.
Or they'll like, you know, buy like maybe they go to like a baseball game or something. That's like, you know, $100 for a ticket. And then you get beer there for like $10. You get a hot dog. After all that, you spend like $150, $200 like parking and everything. And meanwhile, you could have bought something you like work on over time and like chill out to and then play games with or show off. So like, in the grand scheme of things, it's actually pretty affordable. I mean, if you start going down the rabbit hole and you start being like, oh, now I'm going to buy this, now I'm going to buy that, now I'm going to buy this, then it's like, all right, then it's going to add up. But like, if you just take your time and kind of slowly progress through whatever you buy, and then be like, all right, I'm not going to buy another thing until I finish this thing. I think that's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah, actually, I mentioned the Black Templars earlier because I'm still trying to find, like, in both 40K and fantasy, like, what do I want to play as? Like, what is my, like, my faction? You talked about that in your video. And I was sitting there, like, I'm painting these Skaven guys, and, like, I'm painting them because, I played as the Skaven in the Total War thing. And I was like, I like the Skaven. I mean, I think they're okay, but they're probably not, like, the faction that I want to play as. Like, if I was playing, like, a serious tabletop game. And I'm still trying to figure that out with fantasy. And I was thinking about when it came to 40K, me and Krendor are actually reversed here. You prefer fantasy. I actually prefer 40K in terms of the themes and factions and everything. I like both, though. But I've thought about 40K, and only like a few days ago, because I was like, man, like, I want to play as, like, the Imperium. Like, I love the Imperium of Man. I hate chaos. I hate all that. I thought about maybe playing as the Tyranids to go back to that 6th grade, like me. And I was like, no, I don't really want to play as, like, a bunch of, like, stupid, like, Xenos aliens. Like, I don't want to play as them. Like, and then I was like, and then I got introduced to, like, more 40K lore, and I got introduced to the Black Templars, and I was like, oh, dude, I want a Black Templar army. Like, that's me, dude. Freaking, like, crazy, like, religious lunatics, like, dedicated to the God Emperor that will just, you even slightly whisper, like, that you're like, I don't really know about this God Emperor guy. Like, he'll kill you, like, immediately. Like, what's their quote? Innocence proves nothing. Or something like that. Like, I love it. I'm just like, yeah, dude, like, these guys, freaking crazy religious lunatics. I think they're awesome with their, like, black and white armor. So I'm like, I'm gonna make a squad of these guys. But I want to finish the Skaven first, just like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Because maybe my mind will change tomorrow. I get introduced to something else.
Yeah. Plus, it's very easy to, like, paint something and then kind of set it aside, and you're like, oh, I gotta finish painting that, and before you know it, you've got, like, a whole backlog that you haven't painted.
Dude.
So it's better to just kind of take your time and, like, progress through it before you buy something else.
Yeah. Dude, I'll say this as well. I don't know why. I mean, well, I kind of know why. But if you do get into Warhammer, dude, everybody loves orcs.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of people love orcs.
Dude, I don't get what the appeal is. Like, they're just crazy, like, wah, like, greenskins. Like, it's fine, but I'm just like, wah.
I don't. Here's the thing. I like orcs. They're not my favorite, but I like them.
Okay.
And so I actually have the Auric War Clans. So I have. It's a combination of Ironjaw orcs and the Auric. What do they call them? Bone Splitters.
Okay.
And so the Ironjaws are like these heavily armored, like, big wad type of orcs, while the Bone Splitters are more like tribal orcs, like they're wearing, like, loincloths, and they're just all muscular, and they're just like, ugh, and they got, like, prophets who are wearing, like, those crazy skeleton masks that dance around and stuff. But you can play them as a combination, which is what I do. So you, like, mix them together. But I mainly enjoy the non-human races. I don't know if it's like some primal thing.
Yeah.
Or like, so I don't know, but I love the lizard men, obviously. But then I have Beasts of Chaos. I've always loved Beasts of Chaos. I don't like any other Chaos army. Maybe Skaven. But Beasts of Chaos, I really enjoy. I think it's because they got these giant-ass beasts all around. And you're just like, whoa, there's, like, some giant goat man throwing a rock. You're like, all right.
Okay.
And then the orcs are kind of along the same thing, although they're more of like I guess more of a popular type of non-humanoid type of thing. I mean, they're humanoids, but not like human. You know what I mean? And then whenever I'd look at Warhammer 40K, there's never really anything that interested me, and people be like, oh, you'd love the Tyranids, and I was like, I don't know, like, this looked like Zerg to me.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Like,
well, I mean, they're where Blizzard stole the idea from. Let's be real.
Yeah. But even looking at them, like, they're cool, but, like, nothing really makes me want to play them, I guess. And then the Necrons. Once I like saw the new Necrons and I got the new Necrons, I was like, dude, these are actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of like undead space skeletons. I can get behind that.
Yeah, dude.
So I think Necrons are my 40k thing. I still prefer Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar and all that, but I mean, I at least have a 40k like army now.
I don't like what you said in the very beginning when you're like, oh, I really don't like playing as like humans in like fantasy games or whatever. See, I'm the exact same way. Like, I hate playing as like humans and like WoW and like, like Lord of the Rings Online, like, whatever. I did play as a human in Lord of the Rings Online, but I prefer playing as like fantasy races. But I don't know. It's just like when it comes to 40K, I'm just like, oh God, the humans are just so cool. Like, I was like, I love
like
it.
The lore that brings you to them.
It's the lore, it's the theme and the aesthetics, like all like the Latin names of things, like these super over the top concepts, like exterminatus of a planet. If you're like familiar with that by chance, you know what I'm talking about.
I'm not.
So essentially, in the lore, you understand what heresy is, right?
Yeah.
All right. So like for those that don't know, just real fast, because all right. So the humans worship the glorious God Emperor. There's a whole backstory there, but let's keep it simple. It's the God Emperor, right? And essentially, if you question the God Emperor and like the religion that is built around him, you are a heretic, right? Now, the Imperium has like its inquisitors and the Black Templars and whatnot that are like crazy religious fanatics. And specifically the Inquisition, their job is to root out heresy, like in the Imperium. If you question the God Emperor's will, they come after you. And they're constantly like just checking everyone to make sure that you are just a blind, crazy follower to this religion. Now, if, for example, your planet, and there's tons of planets in 40K. I mean, you're talking like billions of worlds. Like, humanity is massive. If like a planet, like if they find heresy on a planet, like let's say a bunch of people get together and they're like, you know what, we're gonna worship our own god and call him so and so, or we're just gonna be a bunch of atheists or something. We don't really care about the God Emperor. If they find that, what they'll do is they will either go in and just kill all these people and wipe them out off the face of the planet. But most of the time they'll say that, hey, what's the quote? It's like, heresy is like a tree. Like, you can cut off the branches, you can cut it down to the trunk, but it's just going to keep growing. There's only one thing to do. So what they do is, like, if they find a small collection of heretics on a planet, they'll just do exterminatus on a planet. And that's where they will kill every living thing on the planet. Every single person. Billions and billions of people, just because, I don't know, like a few dozen were heretics. Like, because, we don't want their message, like, spreading anywhere. So the whole planet has to die. Everything. And I'm like, oh my God, that is insane. Like, it's so over the top. Like, and then there's a cut scene from what is it, Battlefleet, whatever, where they do exterminatus on a planet, and it's like, what's the quote? It's like something like, I'd have to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's like no act of, I don't remember, but like there's a bunch of quotes around it, like, some people will not understand, but those that do understand will know that I have no right to let these people live, like shit like that. Like, oh my gosh, this is like so over the top, it's insane. And I don't know, there's something like appealing to that about me, like just how extreme like the people have been, or like humanity has been pushed, because of how grimdark the far future is and just how consumed in war the galaxy is. I just think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love lizard men shit.
Yeah, dude, they're angels.
Lord Kroak literally willed himself like from death or something like that.
Yeah, teach us lore. I don't know anything. I just know they're angels.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know much about like a lot of the lore either. Here's the thing. I'm not like a big lore person. I think lore is cool, but like I don't actively go like, man, I need to learn all this lore.
Yeah, you just like
Like
lizards.
to me, yeah, to me, lore is kind of like the spice you add into something. Well, for some people, it's like the actual, the meal.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just like the spice to the meal. It's like, oh, that makes it a little more cool.
Mhm.
So let me here. I'll read you a little bit about Lord Kroak.
You're gonna read to me?
Yeah,
Oh wow! All right, neat. This is
Lord
new.
Kroak was the firstborn of the Slan, the first race created by the Old Ones in their own image to aid them in shaping the planet to defeat the eventual coming of chaos. In time, the rest of the lizard men were created and served under Kroak. It is possible that Kroak was the one who taught the first elves magic at the command of the Old Ones, but it could have been any or even all of the Slan. Kroak did little in the fluff until chaos entered the world with the collapse of the warp gates, which made world accessible to chaos as a planet sucked into the eye of terror. After holding a city spanning force field up for decades during the great catastrophe against a literal never-ending tide of demons, he got fed up and and turned that field of titanic explosion that vaporized 100,000 of them. As the demons promptly pulled another infinite horde out of their asses and kept coming, Kroak proceeded to pull his sleeves up and bring out the titanic apocalypse magic that should really have been reserved for the Old Ones themselves. The army book describes it as a goddamn time stopping as reality itself struggled to accommodate the tide of bullshit emitting from Kroak's mind, the world around his city folding in on itself to stem the tide of demons. They penetrated his defenses regardless, and Kroak was ripped to shreds by no less than a dozen bloodthirsters. Doesn't matter, though, as to the point, he's too goddamn powerful to give a shit about being dead, and his unstoppable spirit continues to defy them. He basically becomes singularity at this point, as the world blindingly bright, and the demonic horde pretty much just stops existing altogether. The sacrifice of Kroak is what kept the bulk of the demon invasion from face-rolling the elves in one day, and as a result, Kalidor the Dragon Tamer had the time to set up a vortex in the center of Ulthuan. Kroak's solo efforts helped free the rest of the surviving Slan to channel their own power into Kalidor's spell, hastening the weakening of chaos. Without his efforts, the Warhammer world would have been consumed in its infancy, but before man had even left their caves and discovered agriculture. His spirit lives to this day, thousands of years down the line, the ghost of his old body now just echoing the titanic destruction he unleashed upon the world. The lizard men kind of wheel him out on his hover chair now and then if they need to nuke somebody down. The mummy of his favorite skink rests on his throne, and even in death defends his beloved master, handling all the close combat for him. Kroak's oracle from the days when he was alive, the skink priest Tenzlati, is the voice of Kroak among the lizard men and outranks even young Slan, as he knows the secrets of the old ones not even known to Lord Mazdamundi. TLDR, Kroak is the god emperor of mankind, if Emps wasn't a complete another fail. Heresy.
Heresy?
Heresy.
Where?
That's from the 1D4chan Lord Kroak.
I have no idea what the fuck you just said. They wheel him out on his thing to nuke the guys.
Pretty much Lord Kroak's powerful as shit.
Yeah, like I got that. He's super powerful. He was like taught like the elves magic. You know, he's more powerful than like he was ancient before like even when even when humans were ancient, he was ancient. Like yeah.
He's just the old mummified Slan. It's still powerful as shit.
And they fight against chaos.
Yeah, they're like good demons.
Yeah. They're angels.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So when you like even play the game and you fight against like chaos demons and stuff, you get bonus damage against them and you're like, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Should I read you something?
Yeah.
All right. Right when you mentioned reading, I quickly actually looked up that quote that I was like thinking of.
Ooh.
Let's see. All right. So this is like right after, like, so I was talking about Exterminatus. So this is from, I don't remember what game it was from. I think it was Battlefleet Gothic Armada. But essentially, Exterminatus has been done on a planet. Blah, 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 it's all wiped out. All right. And then Gabriel Angelos. If I mispronounce anything, by the way, that's my bad. Chat. Okay, listen. It's a bunch of like Latin words and stuff. He says this. He says, "It is human nature to seek culpability in a time of tragedy. It is a sign of strength to cry out against fate rather than bow one's head and succumb. Inevitably, many shall fall to the hands upon the sword which felled Typhon, the Ordo Malus." This is the planet that was exterminatus. "But the Inquisition merely performs the duty of its office. To further fear them is redundant. To hate them is heretical. Those more sensible will place responsibility with those who forced the hands of the Inquisition. With some fortune, they may foster this hatred into purpose, and further rule their own fate by coming to the Emperor's service. Yet ultimately, it was I who set these events into motion with a single blow from my hammer, God-splitter." And then another quote. This is the tree thing. "Admiral Spire, it is said that heresy is like a tree. Its roots lie in the darkness while its leaves wave in the sun. You can prune away its branches, even cut the tree to the ground, but it will grow again ever stronger. Such is the nature of heresy and why it is so difficult to destroy. Some may question my right to destroy a world of 10 billion souls, but those who truly understand realize that I have no right to let them live. No sacrifice is too great. No treachery is too small." Yeah.
Shit, dude.
Yeah, dude. Fucking crazy. I love it. I love it. Just love it's so over the top. Whether it's fantasy or like 40K, it's just like, goddamn. Like even like the Skaven people, the fact that they're like a myth. Like, some people don't even believe the Skaven exist because they're just so terrifying. These rat people living underneath your feet that could, like, consume the world if they would stop killing each other. It's great.
Yeah. Just, like, chilling underground. I think my favorite part with the Skaven is they just, like, make these machines that are, like, so crazy. Like, some of the most powerful stuff in the world. But they just can, like, backfire and kill themselves.
Dude, it's like the orcs.
Yeah.
Like, the orcs, like... You might know this. Like, I don't know. Actually, I don't know how it is in Warhammer Fantasy, but I know in 40K, like people would be like, man, like how do a bunch of like dumb orcs like create like spaceships and whatnot? Like, and the idea is that like it's sort of like this is a huge deep subject, so I won't go too much into it. But essentially, like the orcs are practicing a form of like occult magic in 40K. This idea,
isn't it like they believe it and it becomes true, but they don't even realize it or something like that.
Yeah, they like just will something through their minds into existence. They're just like, oh, they believe they can create a ship, so they just throw a bunch of metal together and glue it together with like duct tape and like super glue, and then it becomes a ship, and it like is super giant and super powerful, and they can't even explain it. They're like, oh, it's like a psychic thing. Yeah. Like, and so I'm like, cool. Like, I don't know. Maybe you can tell me about the orcs in fantasy if it's kind of similar, but I don't know.
I don't actually know much about the orcs in fantasy. I need to learn more about the lore.
Yeah.
Because I kind of got back into it and just kind of built and painted stuff I thought was cool. But now I've done it so much that I want to learn more about the lore, especially because I've got like a lot of the armies.
There you go. Yeah, because like before you just read all the stuff about Lord Kroak, I didn't know a single damn thing about the lizards. I just knew from my streams that the lizards, someone said that they're angels, but they're lizards. Like you can consider them quote unquote angels in quotes, and they fight chaos, and that's it. That's all I knew. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but they're lizards. I'm from Florida, all right? I have a love-hate relationship with lizards, all right?
I do think in the new lore, there's also like this big thing. Some people like Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar. Because Age of Sigmar is like after Warhammer Fantasy, so there's this big thing of people being like, I'll never play Sigmar. But it's like, just try it. Because I think it's great. I also, maybe it's because I don't care about lore as much or whatever. I think the Lizard Men have cool lore for like Sigmar too. Because it's like, right now they have a new book that I have, and it's like the Coalesce are these, from what I understand, they're these Seraphon lizard men that got created, and they've just kind of existed for so long that now they just are real, even though like they were made by the Slain. So it's like they've been here for so long. They're just like, hey, we're real now, even though we're like actually Stardust.
And wait, who is this?
Lizard men.
Oh, the lizard. Wait, hold on. But the lizard men are stardust that people. Wait, what do you mean? They were around and then they became real, but weren't they already real because they were around?
So what happened is after Warhammer Fantasy and the Age of Sigmar,
Okay.
like all the shit got blown up or something. But
Okay.
the only thing left were the Slan. So it's literally just a bunch of frogs like floating around in space. And then you're just kind of chilling in space, like, yeah, here we are. And then anything that they would, so the concept prior to this new book was the Slan would literally just use their visions to create armies. So they would be like, oh yeah, like that's what my armies used to look like when they were alive or whatever. Like, I'm just going to create it using magic. And then they would just do it. And then when things died, they just fade away. So it was just like the visions of the Slain.
So
your entire army was powered by a Slain.
So you're telling me, because I remember Ryan talking about this in the Games Workshop place. You're telling me that in the original Warhammer Fantasy, according to Ryan, he said that the world, like everything was destroyed by chaos, and then came Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
So there's like nothing. There's no stars. There's no like planets. There's nothing. There's just floating frogs, just like floating in the void, and they just start willing lizard people like into being.
I mean, honestly, I don't know enough about it to like give you like some in-depth thing. I just know that's what it was.
I just like imagine like some like giant bullfrog just like whoa, just like floating through space, just like looking around with that like just like croaking, just like got that like blank frog expression on their face. It's like and then they start thinking about like armies and shit, and then suddenly like there's just a bunch of like stardust accumulates and it makes an army.
And that's the thing is now apparently that like they've been creating their visions for so long that these visions have like gotten past the point of being visions, and they're just like, oh, I'm real now.
Wow. So Warhammer Age of Sigmar is just an imagination within the frog's mind.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, it's all the big. It's Lord Kroak's dream.
And I'd really like it if they could envision some newer models because I could use some.
Yeah, I heard you, I think, complain on your stream the other day. You were like, hey, look at these. There was some model you held up, and you're like, man, I need a new one of these. Like, they haven't changed it at all in all these years. What was that? You know what I'm talking about?
There's a lot of those.
Oh, there's a lot of those. Okay. I see.
Slan, Zygors, Razordons, Salamanders.
It was Salamanders. That's what it was.
Saurus Warriors. Oh, yeah.
That's what you held up.
Yeah, Saurus Warriors. Pretty much everything. Especially the big thing is everyone wants them now because they're actually like releasing really cool new models, and then there's like, please, can we have some Games Workshop? And they're like, we'll get to you.
Yeah, cool.
Like, okay.
Do you ever paint with Toaster Woman?
She's actually learning how to paint right now. I'm like teaching her how to paint. She's built like the realm gates or whatever they're called. She wanted to paint some type of scenery thing, so we got her the like realm gates, and so she's gonna learn how to paint that. But I also was like, you can also learn how to paint on my skinks because I have like 70 of them and I don't really care. I'm not gonna paint all of them, so you just paint a couple.
I don't know what a realm gate is. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Ah, yes, this thing.
Kind of looks like the portal from WoW.
Yeah, it looks like the Dark Portal. I wonder if Blizzard copied this. They probably did.
Yeah, they probably did.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's
I want to paint this.
But yeah, I was like, you just practice my skinks. I have so many skinks. I just like throw them in a box.
Yeah. Have you like built them,
like,
or are they just like unassembled pieces in a box?
No, I built them, but like it comes like a body and 2 arms. You glue on the arms, you stick them in, and like, there's a skink.
Okay.
But I have so many skinks, though. Like, oh my god, I painted.
Let's say
like maybe a fourth of them.
Lizardman skink. Let's see what these guys look like. Ew.
I mean, that's what Wolf Skittles was. He's a skink.
Hold on. Model. I don't want to see the Total War models.
Here, I'll show you. It's
Wait, I got him. He sent me a thing, everybody. Oh, wow. Look at these guys. Ew. I like their shields.
Yeah.
They look like
Some have
dolphins.
a little bit. Some have shields, some have blow darts. Some have like little club things.
They're kind of cool.
Some have spears. Yeah, I think they're cool. It's just I don't want to paint like 80 of them.
Yeah.
So,
I could paint one of these guys when I come see you.
Sure. It's like whenever I have someone that's a friend visit, he's like, get to paint a skink.
Yeah, there you go. Because didn't you do that with Jesse back in the day?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he actually bought a thing, so I took him to the store and I was like, you can pick out a model, and he picked it out and he built and painted it.
What did he choose?
God, he chose it was Slambo.
Oh, let me look it up. Slambo.
Slambo. I think it's a Chaos Warrior.
Wait, it looked up flambeau fishing. I don't want that.
Originally a warrior of Chaos Mortal miniature dating back to 4th edition.
Oh, there he is.
Older Games Workshop stuff. Let's see.
He's thick.
Yeah.
He just got this one guy, Exalted Hero of Chaos. I don't like him. He's like standing weird.
Yeah.
It's like
he's also fine cast, so he's like resin, so he's more annoying to build.
it's like how you stand when you pee. I don't like him.
Slambo has become somewhat of an internet meme among Warhammer Fantasy fans. He's been dubbed Slambo the Ever-Chosen, Slambo the first true Prince of Chaos, Slambo the Ever-Champion, and even Slambo Chaos God of Take Your Pick in parentheses. This can be traced back to circa 2014 when the Warhammer Fantasy End Times event. At some point, fans started using Slambo as a stand-in for any Chaos character with displeasing lore. For example, if a player didn't like Archaon, they would simply swap them out with Slambo, and thus Slambo the Ever-Chosen is born. From the list of titles Slambo accumulated above, you can piece together which characters he replaced for some.
I hate his name, Slambo. It's like the nickname you would give like your friend growing up that really enjoys playing basketball, like my friend Drew.
Like the fandom has even gone as far to make Slambo the commentator for another fan-created game, Age of Slam, which is essentially a Blood Bowl version of basketball.
Slam dunk, boom! I love it.
The Age of Slam.
Slam. He's like a sumo wrestler of chaos.
He really is, yeah.
I like him though.
Yeah, it's it's neat. But overall, I mean, painting has just been like great. Like just chilling out, building something, painting. Like put on some music or a live stream or a show or just whatever you want, and then you just kind of chill out and paint.
Yeah,
and it's just a very therapeutic, meditative type of thing. And then by the end of it, you're like, dude, I painted this.
Dude, in 2020, they no longer sell Slambo. You can no longer buy him. He's gone.
Shit, dude.
He has gone to Slam and lands elsewhere.
My God.
Yeah,
Guess
dude.
he probably got the last one.
He probably did. Nice.
Mamma mia.
Well, I learned something today.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I'd say overall, Warhammer's pretty neat.
Yeah. I like it. It's very relaxing. It's therapeutic. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're well over our hour mark, so I guess we should wrap up.
Yeah.
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 So, since you started, you want me to do the outro?
Yeah, you do the outro.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all for listening to the podcast. Thank you all for chilling. If you guys like Warhammer, leave a comment below and tell us your favorite faction, your favorite army, blah, blah, blah. And let us know if you got any suggestions for other like topics or something. And that's pretty much it. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, Krensloth.com, Nixxiom Corner Store, wish Krendor a happy birthday.
Oh.
And that's it. Thank you all for watching. Got anything to say?
YouTube.com/Warhammer Krendor.
That too. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. We'll see you next week with another episode of Two Nerds Podcast. Thanks for hanging out. And Krendor, final word.